Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest episode of Talkin. Now, unless you've had your head buried in the sand for the last couple of weeks, you should know that JA has had a full rebrand, and we are now, as you can see, Kintech. So what myself and Amin thought we'd do, we would get together our head of marketing, Lucy, and also our front-end web designer, Jacob, and bring them on board to discuss the wheres, whats and whys of why we've done the rebrand. So guys, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for
Nice
joining
to
us.
see two in pink, two in black. You'd think we'd worked on the colour coordination there, wouldn't you? So anyhow, yeah, guys, really appreciate you joining us. So, Lucy, if I can ask you first, why did we decide to do a rebrand?
So from the start, we felt like we haven't been front and center, which we should have been. And that's what we always aspired to be. As we had a USP of being a custom branded business, so our own identity often got lost or took a back seat as JA. And also JA didn't represent who we are. It didn't have a strong brand recognition in the market. So we wanted to change that by creating a brand that truly represents who we are and not just what we do. So our aim was to build a brand that reflects our company. So we wanted to be warm, family orientated, represent and resonate with our 7-year plus tenure, which in a tech company is quite unforeseen and unheard of, really. And that's just obviously what we represent as Kintech.
It's only you, Lucy, that brings down the average, isn't that, on that tenure?
There's a couple of us, not just me.
Okay, I'll give you that.
But the rebrand was like an opportunity for us to bring what we do more to the market and sort of shout out what we do, which we should have been doing for many years.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Yeah, perfect. So obviously with the rebrand and now we're being Kintech, there was a process that we had to follow. And one of the things that I want to talk about now is that process that we've gone through. So that really, I think I'm going to have to ask you again, Lucy, because I believe that may have started from you.
I mean, it probably started before the reason I joined, just under a year ago now. So we quickly realised that we needed to be louder and prouder about what we do. Our brand sort of felt stuck in the past, and our communication sort of also reflected that. We weren't posting regularly on social media. We didn't have really a big sort of campaign or different campaigns going ahead. So maybe we were posting twice a week, which wasn't really fully showing what we represent and what defines us. So in September, I'd say, is probably when we made the decision to rebrand. And by the October, we brought in an external marketer that was a brand specialist. And she helped us challenge our thinking and get really into what we wanted to stand for and what we should be showing our clients, prospects, anyone in the industry. She also conducted thorough market research with clients, prospects, partners. And it became clear that the perception of our brand at the moment didn't match who we are. The cold blue and green colours that JA wear. We're not a cold company.
No.
We're known for our customer service, being respected, and most importantly, everyone thinks, we're nice, friendly people. It's what we get told quite often.
Yeah.
So we wanted to also reflect the identity in that, and that's really how Kintech was born.
Yeah, it sort of moved away from that whole corporate branding, wasn't it? Because we're very corporate colours, and don't get me wrong, we are a company, but we're so much more than that. And I think this is what Kintech has really said and what it's going to say for many years to come, really.
Yeah, definitely.
So Jacob, obviously you've built the new website, etc., and you've been pretty hands-on with the new, very powerful brand. You know, I think it really stands out, etc. But can you give us some details of what went behind the brand? How did we come up with that?
Yeah, of course. So I'll speak about two things. That's the meaning of the brand and the 5 values that everyone here has really adopted, you know, when we abide by those values here at Kintec. So the new brand is really built about what we believe drives success, and that's the people mainly. Now, technology, especially in payroll software, CIS, all that sort of things, technology is essential. However, we at Kintec believe that it's the human side that makes it work. It's the human element that really excels us as a company, first and foremost. You know, it's the relationships, the support, the understanding that we bring to the table. So that's why we've chosen to amalgamate the words kin and the word tech together, because that really does shout about who we are. You know, having great software is important, but having great people behind it is what makes it powerful. So that brings me on to the tagline of the brand, which is where it's powered by people, driven by innovation. And, you know, I think that really shouts about who we are. Yeah. So that's the meaning behind the brand. And then we've moved on now to the values. And we have five main values, like I said, that everyone in the office does truly abide by. And the first one is we give a shit, basically.
I like it.
As brash as it may sound, ultimately, if you were down at the pub with your mate and you were talking about the company, you wouldn't say, "Oh, you know, we care a lot." We do, but the way that we're wanting to actually approach the situation is we want to speak to each other like humans.
Yeah.
We don't want to just, you know, step around what we're doing, want to shout about it, because that's who Kintec is. We are proud of what we do. Therefore, we do give a shit.
Yep.
No, we genuinely care about the product, the people, the outcome. It's not just a bold phrase. It's a mindset that everybody here has adopted, and we'll continue to push that. Then you've got the second value, and that's collaborative partners. Now, we don't just want to be another software provider. We want to work with our clients, not for them. We want to partner with them, and we want to create long-term relationships and solve any problems together as a unit, as a team. And then that brings me on to the third value, which is proactive support. Now, here at Kintec, we believe that support should not only kick in when something breaks. You know, so the value is basically we aim to spot these issues before they happen, step in early, and ideally before a client even realizes that they need the help from us, we fix the problem. You know, and we're not going to hide the problem happened. We'll be open, we'll be honest. Again, we'll be forthcoming, we'll be truthful, because that, again, is what we are about. We're about communication.
Yep.
Fourth value is expert Yoda. Now, you know, let's be honest, payroll, compliance, everything in between, it can be complicated regardless of how much experience we've got in the industry. Yep. So our job here is to guide people through it with confidence. We want people to know for a fact that if they ask us a question, we are going to know the answer, you know. So why not be confident about it? Why not tell people? We've got the skills, we've got the tenure, and we are experts in the field. So that brings me on to the final value, which is dedicated innovators. So that basically means as we are always looking for ways to improve, whether it's streamlining a process or simplifying something that feels overwhelming. We don't ever want to just stand still. You know, we're always striving to move forward. So to summarize everything I've said, the rebrand goes way beyond name or just visual identity. It reflects how we work every day with a human-first, support-driven approach, whilst we always strive to improve. So that's the meaning behind the rebrand.
I love it. And you know the thing is, some of the stuff you said there actually are really important, but I want to add that I would argue that we've always had them values, but we've just never been bold to shout out about them. We've never been bold enough to share about them. And I think this is what Kintech is really driven now, that we are going to be standing out there. We are going to talk about them. Because I know for a fine fact, from a dev perspective, Jacob, you and your team, you guys have been like that for as long as I've been at JA. And obviously, Tango and Cash at the bottom here, we've always had that approach to all our clients. He's going to make me laugh now. And it's true. It is true. We've always had that approach. We genuinely care about every single one of our clients. We genuinely care about every single one of our prospects and everyone in the industry. Which kind of brings me to the next question I want to ask you, and I think I'm going to direct this a bit towards yourself, Lucy, was that companies go through rebrands all the time. We've seen it with Virgin, we've seen it with other businesses, big businesses out there, and they just get on with it. But we didn't want to just do that, did we? We wanted to have a party, so I wanted to find out the reasons behind the launch. But don't get me wrong, it was a great night, but let's not talk about the shuffleboard. But apart from that, it was a cracking night, and I just want to know why we did that, which was a good thing, but I'm curious to know why we did do it.
Do you actually think we should at some point speak about your shuffleboard, though?
I don't think we should.
So when we were obviously discussing the whole rebrand, we sort of suggested why not do a party, because we want to not only celebrate this new sort of era of our company, but we wanted to celebrate with the people that have helped us on the journey. We've got clients that have been there for 10, 15 years. And, you know, we wanted to be there and have them celebrate with us as well. And also the fact that we did it on the night before we technically launched, also we wanted to make sure that they knew before the news hit social media or other people were sharing it and they were like, oh, I know before. And it only felt right really to share the moment with them, and what better way really to celebrate with someone that, you know, maybe our extended family at Kintech. We've had quite a few questions, I think, about why we chose Black Cat. Yeah. And that was probably because we wanted a venue that reflected who we are, fun, bold, and a little competitive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So obviously on the night we had a DJ, we had the music, darts, shuffleboards, which I'm pretty sure was Amin's favourite part of the night. But yeah, it gave us like the perfect space to celebrate how we wanted to. And it wasn't just a hotel room or a forum room. And a big highlight of our night was definitely the darts competition.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got to say a big congratulations to Richard Rankin on winning and being our champion of the night. And when planning the event, we also made sure that we had a section where we could give back to the community, which is also another big thing that here at Kintech we love to do. We love to give back. We've raised money in the past for Port and Alder Hay. And we chose Port this time again because it's a big charity that has a close meaning to Killian's heart and the rest of our company's heart. And we just want to say a big thank you to everyone who played darts on the night or even just donated. They didn't actually play in the competition. And we raised £300 on the night. And we also want to just say a big thank you as well to Richard Rankin, who decided to donate his prize money to Port as well. So in total, we're sending £500 towards that amazing charity. Which
and Richard.
Thank you, Richard, as well, if you're watching.
Yeah, just wanted to say everyone that did donate, thank you very much.
Amazing. And
Lucy, just to let people know, if they do want to have a look into Port, it's the Pseudo Obstruction Research Trust. If they want any more information or the links, give myself and Killian a buzz. Killian is actually a patron of the charity. It is quite underfunded, but they do absolutely fantastic work.
Love that, mate. Love that.
Okay, so thanks for that, Lucy. So, Jacob, obviously, as part of this rebrand, etc., as we said, you've basically built the website. You know, what was the biggest issues with the old website? You know, what needed fixing, and how did you fix it?
So if we're being, completely cards on the table, we did feel that the old website, whilst it definitely looked unique, it didn't really serve the purpose that a website should serve. There were key elements missing: the messaging, the structured content, the SEO, a user-friendly design. It just didn't fit into any of those categories. It was missing a lot. And we didn't feel like it aligned with who we actually are as a company or what we wanted to portray. So there was a few issues which, after the rebrand, we thought, like, we need to clear these up in this new website. So that was definitely fixed. And with the new website, we've set out to fix those issues that I've just mentioned. So from the moment somebody lands on the homepage, it's immediately clear who we are, what we offer, and how we can actually help. We've built the site structure from completely scratch to create a clear user journey. The navigation's now very intuitive. The layout helps to guide people through the content in a way that actually makes sense. So it's creating a real user journey, a user story, where I'd like to think people feel invested as they're going through it.
Yeah.
So alongside that, it's got a lot to do with the brand identity as well. The old website, you clicked on it and you came back, you might look at it and be a bit confused as to what website am I actually on here. So one of the goals was consistency across every page. So if somebody was to leave, come back 20 minutes later, they'd instantly recognise that they're still on the Kintec website, and that's the power of having a good brand awareness and brand identity, where people can leave and come back and know exactly where they are.
Cool. So obviously with the new website, there has been another change. And one thing that we have done with our software is we've done a new user interface, which, so if I call a UI, that's what I'm referring to. And as part of the new UI for the listeners, is what we have done is we've taken the amazing J software that we already had, as we know was an industry-leading system. But what we've done is we decided to give it a facelift. An analogy I want to use for this one is Ferrari and Lamborghini have always made pretty cars, but they haven't always kept the same design. Throughout the years, they've changed the design and still make really beautiful cars, and that's what we've done. We've had a design that worked, but we wanted to change it and do something, again, beautiful and just keep reinventing the wheel. And one thing that Jacob said earlier was standing still, and you're absolutely right. The world spins around you, so in reality, if you stand still, you're going backwards. So one thing that we want to do is we want to keep moving forward, and I think the new user interface is going to do that. I don't want to say too much about it because I love it. It's fantastic. So I want to ask you the questions, really, Jacob, on the new UI, what the reasons behind some of the stuff we've done with it, but also your favourite part of it. What new thing in the UI does it really stick out for you?
So as you
pressure.
mentioned, as you mentioned, there's a lot to it in comparison to what our current clients are used to. There's a lot to be proud of. There's a lot of work gone into it by everybody in the office. For me personally, my favourite part of the new UI is the system-wide searching combined with the quick add functionality. Now, this is a brand new feature that we don't currently have in our system. So this was a very, very good idea brought up by several people. It'd be a very nice to have. So that has been implemented into this, and it will be rolled out on, first release.
Amazing.
So the benefit of this is that it's made site-wide navigation on the platform so much faster and more intuitive. You can search for almost anything, even something as specific as a few digits from a phone number. It'll display the relevant results. So that kind of depth is really useful when you've only got limited information to work with. So when you've got that power coupled with the quick add for things like employees, timesheets, etc.,
Yeah.
it will make creating new items extremely seamless and really quick.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I want to add to that as well is obviously I've had to play around with the new UI a lot, a bit of a tech geek, really. Because for people obviously listening, previously on JA, we one of our USPs obviously was that we had a really good reporting tube. Obviously, now Kintech, so not JA, we've kind of taken that to another level, really, haven't we? With this new search, and we'll still have our powerful reporting tool, but you don't need to rely on that anymore. You can use this cross-system search within Kintech now to do exactly what you said, which is really powerful and exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as well as across system searching, the one thing that the reporting and the querying tool, etc., does do that we've now implemented into the new UI is very extreme filtering, very in-depth filtering across every table as well. So, like I said, not only can you search for somebody using a few digits, when you actually land on a specific page, whether it's an employees list, companies list, you've got the ability to search probably 90% of the columns available.
Wow, amazing.
By name, by words, but pretty much anything. And then you can sort through those, and you've got specific tags you can filter. And there's a lot that's brand new in this UI. I think it will really propel.
It's really exciting.
Really,
and one thing I want to add, because I have a feeling, I have an inkling, and my inklings are normally wrong. Don't you say anything, Stuart? I know in the new UI, I've noticed you've got the ability to flick between light mode and dark mode, which is kind of a really important thing now. A lot of good systems support this, and I believe this was your idea in the new UI.
Yeah,
you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, that's completely right. Sorry, I thought you were saying something afterwards. But
that's fine.
Was it? Yeah, no, that's right. So the light mode and dark modes, they're both implemented into the new UI. Now, there were a couple of reasons behind why I thought it important to do this. It's not just because of visual preference. It's about you've got to take into account the accessibility of every user that could be using the new UI. You've got the user comfort, and it's giving people and allowing them the flexibility in how they use the software to their preferences. So in a platform like ours, where people need that clarity and they need that focus, possibly for over long periods of time, offering both of those themes, it means that the interface, the software, it stays easy to read and it's comfortable to use, whether it's day, whether it's night, whether you've just woken up, whether you're just about to go to sleep. There's the theme that allows you to be comfortable using it.
Love it. Obviously, I already said we're already an industry-leading software. When you were redesigning the new UI, what was top priority for you and the team?
So the top priority, I think in general, but especially for me, was, as the actual designer and then the front-end developer of the new UI, it was the ease of use. And it was, so I approached it with the mindset of, if someone who's never touched software like this before, if they log in, again, they've never seen it before, they log in, and then we ask them to figure out how to create an invoice. Can they then do that unassisted without asking for help? Without asking for help. That was the mindset that I've had this whole process of designing the UI, trying to make it as intuitive as possible for anybody to use it. So that goal really did shape everything after that, basically. So we've heavily played on simplifying the UI, removing unnecessary visual clutter, improving the navigation, and making sure that related features, related pages are grouped together logically and in a way that actually makes sense. So ultimately, the whole interface is designed to help users get from point A to point B as quickly and as stress-free as possible.
Amazing. And obviously, we've said a few times now, we're going to keep growing. We're not going to stand still. Can you give us any teasers to upcoming features that our clients and prospects and new customers can expect?
Yeah, so there's a lot of exciting improvements in the pipeline, definitely. And again, I'm only speaking for myself here, but one feature that I'm really keen to implement soon is the keyboard shortcuts. Now,
nice.
You can think of this like a quick add functionality on the next level. It'll be fully keyboard driven. It's designed for users who want even more speed, even more efficiency, you want to save time. And then once you get the hang of it, creating things like employees, like timesheets, will be significantly faster. So there'll be no extra clicks. It'll just be streamlined actions the whole way. So that's my feature that I'm most looking forward to implementing. But I would just like to clarify and point out that we'll be adding we'll be making ongoing improvements, as you suggested, to the UI based directly on user feedback. So we will be adding a feedback form right inside the platform.
Brilliant.
Users can share thoughts and suggestions without actually leaving the application. So they can just add something into a text box or an input, it sends the email to us, and we'll store that and make sure that we keep that, and it will guide us for future updates.
Sounds really good. Excellent. Good work.
Thanks, guys.
So-
Thank you for answering all our questions. We're not finished up.
Questions now, guys. So as we always do on Talking, we generally wind it up with a little bit of fun. So we're going to start off. I'm going to ask you both, and I am of the older generation, so I'm still going to stick with ladies first. So Lucy, let's have a fun fact about Lucy, head of marketing, please.
As it probably won't come to much of a surprise to most of you, especially the ones joining me today. But my first word was no.
I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked.
Because I'm quite known to be a bit opinionated. Shut down Amin and Stuart's wild ideas sometimes. But yeah, no, my first word was no. So that's
Excellent. Well, you've got something to beat there, Jacob.
No.
Yeah, mine is I won't say it's quite as maybe not quite as interesting as that. But no, my fun fact is that I once went paragliding off a mountain called Babadag in Turkey.
Nice.
I jumped off at 1,800 meters, paragliding over the Blue Lagoon, over the sea. That was definitely an experience that I'll never forget. And it's something that really gets your adrenaline going.
And we know you lived through it, which is obviously good.
Yeah, definitely.
So love that. Obviously, as we've said, we do like to end with fun stuff, and one of the bits that we do is the this or that. And I wasn't born in the 19th century, so I'm going to go with Jacob first. So I'm going to basically ask you a question. Jacob, you go first, then Lucy, you go second. And just answer it if you want to elaborate on it. Perfect. So would you say you're an early bird or a night owl?
Made it early bird.
I'm
Early
probably
bird.
an early bird.
Everyone's an early bird but me. Stuart, you're normally in bed by 9, aren't you?
That's about me. That's about me.
So drink-wise, tea or coffee?
Yeah, it's got to be tea. I can't stand coffee.
Fair enough.
No, not at all.
See, I'm definitely a coffee girl.
What's the Starbucks, Lucy?
Starbucks.
Good. And what's your go-to tea, Jacob?
It's a tough question. I actually don't drink much tea at all, and I don't drink coffee at all.
Caffeine, though. Caffeine, a lot of.
Drink a lot of caffeine. Yeah, all Monster.
Red Bull.
Yeah, if I had to choose a tea, probably Yorkshire tea bag.
Oh, yes. It pains me to say that being a Lancastrian, though. But, yeah, Yorkshire tea's brilliant.
Yeah, I prefer Yorkshire tea too. In work, do you prefer to make calls or emails?
Emails.
Calls.
Cool. I like it. And this is one of my favourite questions, really. So would you rather be famous for your work or super rich but unknown?
I'd definitely rather be super rich but unknown. Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jacob there. Super rich, unknown.
Interesting. I actually thought, Lucy, you might have went for the famous one, because me and Stuart, we're split on this one as well, aren't we? Because I'd rather be remembered for legacy, but I think you like your known bit, don't you?
Would you like to lead?
Sorry?
So, if you were famous for your work,
Yeah.
would it be this work, or would you choose something else?
He's famous for this work. What are you talking about?
To be
Let's
honest,
work.
it'd be anything really. It'd be just something that I've contributed to that's remembered. I think I'd rather do that than be super rich. Because you don't take any of your money into your grave. That's
No,
my
of
sort
course.
of philosophy on it.
Oh, we're getting deep now.
Oh,
Yeah, fun guys. So if it came to having superpowers, would you rather be invisible or fly?
I would rather fly.
I like it.
definitely like to be invisible. Be a fly on the wall. That's definitely what I'd like to do.
Would you be a fly in them SMT meetings and tell us what they're saying?
Yeah, well, get all the gossip.
Love it. Love it. So, last question. If you were going to go on holiday, would you rather do a city break or a beach vacation?
I think that definitely depends on the duration that you're there. I'd say anything over a week, a beach. Anything under a city break, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've got to take Jacob's answer as well. Yeah, 3-4 nights in the city, but anything longer by the beach.
Like it. In addition, I'm going to do an unprecedented one before I pass it to Stuart. What's your favourite holiday you've ever been on?
Mine was probably Greece. I went to Rhodes, stayed in a lovely little town called Lindos.
Like it. Love it.
That was a beautiful holiday. That they go back.
Good, definitely.
Mine is probably Bali.
You've been to Bali?
Have I been to Bali? That's why I changed it from a fun fact, because I'm pretty sure lots of people know.
LinkedIn knows.
Yeah. But no, yeah, it's on your bucket list. Definitely do
Love
it.
it. Love it.
Excellent. Well, guys, I think we've run out of time there. Thank you very much for joining us. Really enjoyed it. I've got to say, Jacob, you're a natural, mate.
Natural.
Thanks.
Lucy, we already knew you could do it.
Lucy needs to swap jobs. Get Jacob in marketing. Lucy into web design. But no,
We'll be having the
aside,
website
really
down.
appreciate you joining us, guys. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
We'll hopefully see you guys soon.
Thank you for having
Thank you very
us.
much.
No worries
Thank
at all.
you,
Take
guys.
care.
Bye.
Bye.